My name is Joy Marie Thompson, and I was the co-choreographer, co-creative director, performer, and executive producer. I think I hit them all. Yes, in this film, Linked, I shared the co-creative direction with Cher Shipman, and she was also the performer, and she styled it, and she was also the co-choreographer. I think the choreography got started with the orange band that's seen throughout the piece. To be honest, I think the context of the film, the power struggles, where's the labor really put in to the relationships, that was after the piece was done. So it started off with taking this orange band and trying to figure out how we could use it as an obstacle for us dancing, but how can we use it in our advantage, and how can we use it to manipulate the choreography that we're trying to develop? Figuring out how to shift each other's weight with the band, figuring out how to use this band to represent something that's more than us. So it really started with this rubber band, and then kind of expanded into something else with more research and time. Doing this piece, rehearsing this piece, was a challenge for me personally. And I made sure that I as an executive producer, I wanted to make sure that I was also represented production, but also in the pre-production, in the cast and crew. So I hired a two consultants who are also two Black women to do some racial equity work for this piece, so that they could also help us educate each other on the context of this piece and the context that we are trying to make. So their presence really self and what I was trying to establish for the choreography and the performance as well. During shoot day, honestly, it's interesting because it's kind of hard to perform while you're also like doing all these hats of being the director or the creative director, and communicating with Casey Brooks, who was the film director, and Victoria Sendra, who was the cinematographer. Communicating with them and then jumping back in and doing the piece. I really had to kind of tap into a lot of theatrical techniques of learning how to drop in once I'm in the space, right? And so I kind of had to drop in and drop out and drop in and drop out. Um, I had to make sure that there were a lot of conversations being had throughout the process so that everyone felt comfortable. I tried very hard to make sure that happened, what we were making, and felt comfortable to move on in that process. It came with a lot of challenges because it is a very sensitive topic. Um, and I can't say that it was always successful, but I think that the product that we have, the piece, the final piece, was successful, and I think it got its point across. So I'm very proud about that. But it was a challenge. It was really hard. Well, Cher Shipman and I, we had another film called Tongue Tied Shrews that was made specifically for film. And so when we made this piece, we made it with the understanding that we were going to film it just yet, but we kind of, in the back of our head, were choreographing with the intention to film at some point. So I think with filming a dance, you want to make sure, for me, in my opinion, you want to make sure that there's very, very vibrant imagery. When I make a dance for the proscenium stage, you can get away with a lot of minimal energy because you're working with the energy between the performer and the audience. That's a lot for an audience member already. But when it's for film, you don't have that. So everything has to be even bigger for the screen. Absolutely. So we had a storyboard, we had all this choreography, it was all ready to go. We gave all of these directions to the team. Um, but then there was still like room to I learned a lot from the film people that were involved, like Desmond Confoy, who was assisting, Casey, Victoria. And they are in film, so everything's very, very planned out. Everything's planned out. There's not really a lot of room for improvisation when it comes to filmmakers. But for dancers, we're always so used to just like something not working out the day of, just something not working out. We're so used to something. Maybe a dancer falls, you have to, and it's not in a part of the choreography, but you got to pick them up and swiftly bring them off stage. And so we're used to these improvisational situations. And just by telling them, hey, like, we're honestly down for anything. Like, if you feel like something comes up and you want to get it, let's get it. And if we don't, we don't. That's fine by me. I was also working on a tight schedule, and I'm kind of happy that I was pushing this tight schedule because right after we filmed, COVID kind of evaporated everything in New York City. So, and I had to move back home to Pittsburgh. So it just worked out. I think that moment happened because we were doing a show and we had to, the piece was originally 20 minutes, but we had to cut it to 15. And at the cutoff mark, it ends with that moment. And for some reason, the audience was just like, whoa, what does that mean? What does that mean? Whoa, 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 what is that? What is that? And when that happens, you keep it because for some reason, it really connected with the audience. So that's definitely a part. I think I have like some like whispers of feelings about what that means for me, but I really enjoy just hearing what people find like think about it. Because at the end of the day, like my opinion of the piece, it matters, but it also doesn't. We give the choreography, we give the synopsis, and then after that, it's up to interpretation by the audience and whatever they find from that, whatever energy, whatever whispers of information they get from that is completely valid. I met Sadie. We're both from Pittsburgh, and I met her through working with Stacy Pearl. And she just approached me and was like, "I think we should work together." And I was like, "Funny, because I just got a grant, so let's do it." And I told her about what the piece was going to be about. I told her that we were thinking of very dystopian vibes, very um, that this was about a black woman and a white woman. That this was about what labor is, who has the labor power struggle, these hefty things. We were also talking a lot about our identity as people that are not straight. And and Sadie's a very good friend of mine. So like we were just having all these conversations. And by the end of it, I was like, I'm giving you all this information. I gave her all of the photos, the videos, she watched it. Um, and I was like, do whatever you want. I know how she works. She does this amazing work with her electric bass. It's just amazing. And at the end of the day, I just wanted her to just like run with whatever. I was like, you have 15 minutes and 15 or 20 minutes and do whatever you want. And she loves that. And she just gave us this amazing piece of energy um, that works great for film. The music is not what we used for the staged piece at all. The stage piece, we used music that we kind of made ourselves, as long with another piece of music from another friend of mine. But I really wanted to work with Stacy, with Sadie, because I wanted to bring more women onto the team, and I wanted to really just like collaborate with this person that really wanted to collaborate with me as well, and just like figure out that partnership and what that was. So it just kind of happened organically as working together. I love Sadie, love everything that she does, all of her music. It just honestly, like this whole process just like worked out super organically by just letting my collaborators do what they do best. I think post COVID, what I've been thinking about a lot is just how much I'm going to just take advantage and feel blessed for even being able to touch someone. Like just the being able to like hug someone and like speak to someone without a mask, and to touch them, and how I'm never going to take that for granted. How I'm never going to take that for granted. And I feel like I don't think I ever did, but just to think about how special it is to be in the presence of another person is such a now a privilege. And I think it always has been, but I think it was taken for granted. And I think that COVID was a blessing in that it forced all of us to really think about our relationships to other people and how meaningful they are and how much we really need each other and how we can't isolate ourselves, whether it's from physically, we can't isolate ourselves from being strictly on the internet. We can't do any of that. So I hope that when COVID ends and we get a vaccine and we're able to just really, really hug each other and sweat on each other again, that does manifest in people going to theaters and going to shows and seeing them and just really seeing people, and that we take and that we look to people as these precious as the precious interactions that they are, because they are. And I think that COVID made us realize that every time we touch someone, every time we see someone, every time we see someone dancing or moving, if it's on stage or if it's in person, that it is a precious interaction that should never be taken for granted.